September 18th, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on a 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. The only economic data that came out was around 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about right here, right before this big sell-off occurred. It was the unemployment claims. And there actually wasn't that many trade setups today, but I would say the price action was surprisingly clean. What I mean was prices moved in these nice gradual moves. It was choppy in some areas, but they didn't really create too many traps. Now, having said that, I did take one trade and I was trapped. And it's actually a pretty, in hindsight, kind of a bad trade to have taken. And I'm definitely thinking it was a FOMO for missing out a perfectly good setup previously. So I'm going to go into the trades right now. There weren't too many, well, as you can see, I didn't mark too many trades because there weren't too many that set up. So in the pre-market, it looked like there was this big, well, you could say almost 3 legs up, or you could say maybe just one big leg, pull back in a second leg. Then it looked like it was a sell-off all the way back down to, well, not really quite to the lows. Sell-off, a bounce, and then the market opened. So here you can see right before the open, it was kind of creating a bounce, and you don't know that's going to be a range just yet, but it was like a new high, first entry long, pull back. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but it also looked like it was just one big leg down. Hits the support area, pushes up, hits this resistance area. So at this point, I'm thinking I might be in a range. It's a new low. It's a first entry short. You have a second entry short here. It's bad signal bar. It does have an EMA rejection, but I was not ready to take a trade yet because of the doji. Prices then continue moving sideways. Also, you have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. Again, this is just kind of in the middle of nowhere. You get a confirmed second entry long here, but this is very congested, a little bit stacked. So I didn't really think there was any trade there as well. Pushes to the high, creates a potential fail breakout, double dojis, another doji. So 3 dojis in a row. That leaves me very cautious. Starts pushing down. Pushes down and has a breakout on the bottom. Pushes down what I think is this orange down channel. Finally have a first entry long, pull back. You might have a second entry long here, but before I even think about taking a trade, I don't like that it's inside bar, never broke below. So I'm just sitting, pushes down, starts reversing back up. It hits this resistance area. So I'm thinking this resistance is actually probably somewhat valid. Now, whether it was in this trading range or it could be a larger trading range, I'm not sure, but I do think there is some kind of resistance being respected here. This is a break of the green up channel, so I'm thinking there still could be a failed breakout, potential test of the high of this green. And it doesn't quite do that, it comes down. I'm not really concerned about the EMA at this point because the EMA isn't all that helpful because it's just kind of trending sideways. Pushes down, and it creates this reversal. At this point, I drew this trend line here, but I don't really quite have as a channel yet because I can't trust this channel. So actually this is collapsed down here initially as one line, pushes up, creates this second entry long. So technically you have a new high, first entry long pullback. You technically have a second entry long right here, but this feels a little risky because I'm thinking I might be in a trading range. So it was at the top, came back to the bottom, pushes up to the top, pulled back. I'm thinking it could be one attempt up, second attempt, and the next couple bars, it could reverse and push down to test the lows. So that was what I was thinking initially. I did mark it as a almost trade. I just didn't like that it didn't break above this previous bar, and then the close and the body just left it a little bit iffy. Pushes up. So in this case, the trade would have worked. So I'm looking for a higher low, but even if a higher low shows up, I'm concerned that prices are now testing the resistance, breaks out, break of the green up channel, pushes up, testing the high. At this point, I'm thinking, is there a larger channel potentially at play? Because it looks like it fits pretty well down here, fits up here. I'm expecting maybe a reaction up here. It doesn't quite make it. And finally, it does touch. So I'm thinking, okay, this could actually be a channel. 2 touches on the bottom, 3 touches at the top. However, I'm not looking to go short on a clearly bullish time right now because it's pushing up. I'm looking for a reason to go long, but I need prices to come back down, at least to the EMA, maybe to this other side. I'm definitely not thinking of going short. Technically, you have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. This signal bar is inside of this. It's red. It's just kind of far from the EMA. It just doesn't really have anything going for it. Pushes up, continues up, pulls back, say potential first entry long. So it has a first entry long. I'm looking for another bounce off this EMA, which could be in play now because it's starting to curl up and it pushes up. So there's no trade here. I'm not even looking for a second entry long now because it's testing the localized high. Pushes up and through, continues upwards. I think I had this a little tighter. I'm going to actually zoom out a bit because I think I had my channel. It's kind of moved since then. A little bit closer to this, which makes my yellow up channel fit a little cleaner, which is what I had initially in real time. Okay, so it pushes up. Third touch confirmation. Looks like it's 2 legs up. Starts to reverse. I'm looking for a first entry long potential. You technically have a, by the count, a first entry long. No second entry long. Okay, so I'm looking for a potential bounce off this yellow up channel. So that'd be perfect. So it does happen here. So it's like technically you have a first entry long pullback, second entry long. I'm not the fondest of this particular setup because this also looks like it's all one leg. So even though for the technical count, there's a first entry long here, it just looks cleaner as a first entry long and not first entry, second entry. So I'm just waiting. I actually want a higher low with a move back into this yellow up channel and ideally above the EMA to consider even going long. And never happens, so it kind of decides it for me, pushes back down. It gets a little congested here. Pretty much a tiny range here, pushes down. Technically I have a new high, first entry long, second entry long, no real trade setup. Continues pushing down, break of this red down channel, it's tested low. It starts moving, it looks like it's moving sideways. At this point I drew it as a range, because one touch, two touch, one touch, two touch. Technically new high, first entry long pullback. You might have a second entry long setting up here. I'm a little weary of setting up a trade because I'm thinking the EMA might come into play. But of course you don't know it's going to push up and push up so strongly through it. So now I'm actually looking for a higher low above the EMA, but it doesn't. It just kind of reverses back down. So now I'm just sitting on my hands. I don't really like when this whipsaw thing happens. So I'm just, there was no real trap set up because contextually it just didn't look quite right. The chop sideways, looks like I'm clearly in a range. New high, first entry long. Technically, you have first entry long here. You have a second entry long here, but it didn't really set up quite right. Chopping around, looks like it's in the range. It's moving back out, pushes up. Keep in mind this gray channel. I'm going to actually, I'm going to go ahead and just collapse it for now because I drew it much, much later in the day, but there's really no trading range right now. It looks like it could be starting to form a range. Push up on this red up channel, push it down. So you do have a first entry long. So I'm thinking it could be one leg pullback, a second leg corresponding to the same size as this. Pushes down, and it here creates a second entry long. It's actually 2 nice clean legs. I thought this was a possible trade. So you have this push down on this red, break, tested low. It's moving sideways now. It's like 1 leg up, pull back 2 legs. I'm thinking it could create a corresponding second leg of roughly the same size as this, maybe a push up to the high. Looks like it's 2 clean legs down. I like that it moved 2 ticks below this guy, closes pretty strongly above the EMA. In this case, it would have worked. So I'm actually looking, I was looking for a higher low, but I don't like that it made pretty much the top now. I mean, it is slightly short, but it feels like you'd be buying into potential resistance. Chops around. So first entry long, pull back. Potential second entry long. I was thinking there's some kind of support here, some kind of resistance here. First entry long, pull back, second entry long. I'm looking for a break above here, but I'm a little concerned about maybe the EMA. So it does break and push back down. So I'm now just sitting on my hands. This looks like this is actually tighter initially. Had something closer to this. So that was also one of the other reasons I didn't want to take a long right here, even though potential second entry long was setting up. So I was thinking there could be a resistance here. It is bouncing off the potential support area of range. So you're playing potential of going long, but then you're also having a conflicting data showing that it could hit a resistance here. So 2 things are kind of fighting against each other. I'm not really sure. Things aren't quite aligned. This kind of settles the argument. It kind of opened up, closed down. So I'm very cautious now. pushes down, breaks. There's a break on the outside and continuation downwards. So that's when I actually extended and widened my channel to something closer to this. Pushes up. It's a first entry short, pullback. Technically, I have a second entry short, but I also saw it as a one big push up, tested the high. You do have a second entry short here. I don't like the signal bar. Now this is a better setup. I thought this is actually a potential trade. Break of the green up channel has tested the high. Technically, the orange down channel wants to test low. It's a first entry short, clearly a first leg here. Second leg here now. Decent close of the signal bar, close of the low. Pushes down. So I'm actually looking for a lower high now. So I thought this is a possible trade, thinking it's going to test the low of this orange down channel. And it actually gives you the lower high. So this is actually where I take my one and only trade, and it turned out to be a loser. And I'll go through my thought process in real time, as well as what I thought about in hindsight. So there's this channel coming down. It could be something like this. So it actually could have been a break, another push up, and it actually might have tested the low. So this orange down channel may have played out. But the way I played it in real time is after I saw that, I actually extended it. So I said, okay, there's no break of this orange down channel. It's a break here, 2 attempts up. Now it wants to test the lows here. Now this is a good setup. The setup I should have taken was right here because it's nice, strongly pushed up, 2 ticks, flush down, strong close, enough for 1 point scalp. So I actually said, okay, well, there's a lower high here now. Now I decided, okay, there's a lower high. I'm going to try to reduce my risk and enter at the low of this candle. That's what I did. I entered at the low of this candle. Now my stop is actually way up here, which isn't a good risk reward, especially considering the context of what's going on. So there's like not the highest probability, and then the highest, when the probability isn't that high that it's going to work, I should really consider reducing my risk or skipping the trade completely. If the trade is like a slam dunk that it's for sure going to work, then I wouldn't have that much issue putting my stop way up here. So that's what I did. I entered here. It's lower high. This is actually 1 full point to the lows. It came right to my order, but it never ticked through, so I didn't get filled. Now, other times I have been lucky to be the first in the trading queue to actually get filled, but this came down, touched my order, probably hit a bunch of other people, got them out before they got to me. Then it reversed up, pushes up, and that's where I get stopped out. So this is a very big loss compared to the risk I was trying to take. I was trying to go for a 1 point scalp from here to here. Technically, there's 1 point here, but it never ticked through. And that was a risk. Now, in hindsight, so that's what I was thinking in real time. I thought, okay, this is a good setup, lower high. Now, in hindsight, this is everything that was kind of not the best. There is clearly a shortened trend channel coming down here. Yes, this orange one might be coming to test the low, but this green has broken, tested the highs. This red technically has broken and tested the lows. So I should have taken that into consideration. Here it's tested the low. The other thing not the best about this is a little bit far from this EMA. On a better setup, it would ideally come up, touch the EMA, and then flush down. But I was driven by the great close engulfing of this candle. On top of that, since it didn't tick through right here, when I saw that and it reversed so strongly, there's probably, a moment where I should have thought, okay, this trade isn't really going to work, especially when it came to this candle. I should probably abandon it, just take the loss early. And even if it does end up flushing down, the character of the trade is starting to change. It's not really working out the way I thought. So I kept my stop way up here, tried to be disciplined, and it flushed me out. So took a bigger loss than I should have. Not the best trade setup, not the best lower high, especially when the EMA is starting to be a little ambiguous again. If anything, I should have asked for a nice touch and then rejection. But as I said, I saw this engulfing, saw it engulfed this guy, good close, but I didn't take into consideration the break of this red has already tested the low. So all around, risky trade. It was affected by missing and not taking this trade when it was a nice setup, and also this potential trade over here. Okay, so lesson learned. Prices then continue moving up. Looks like a spike and a move upwards. No clean second entries, long or short. There's a first entry long, makes a new high. You technically have a new low, first entry short, second entry short, but when you see this, clearly the support, you don't want to be selling into this low, and this is inside to this, so there's no trade there. Which is, I saw this and I thought, is there a second entry long here, new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long, I saw this. I thought it might be a fail breakout. EMA is holding, but the one thing that kept me not really, aside from the loss that I just took, the one thing that wasn't really jiving with me is this break of this orange up channel has tested the high. It's moving sideways. It's making lower highs kind of sequentially. So I was just a little bit sketched out about it. It looked like if I did take it, I would have gotten filled and likely this candle would have stopped me out. But it's just something I noticed in real time. It might be nothing, might be something, but I didn't even mark it as an almost trade. As I then continue moving down on this orange down channel, no real setup. It's a new low, first entry short, pull back. There could be a second entry short here. I just don't like that it's a doji. Then it's followed through by a second doji. So definitely I'm not taking any trade, even if it's short, because I think it might come down and test the low. It's just because there's some indecision here. It's tug of war. It does work. It bounces, flushes back up pretty strongly, hits the high, comes back down. So I drew this as a potential trading range. But this trading range has these big candles, relatively speaking, but I'm not really quite sure. It's also at the lows now, so I'm not really thinking of going long yet. And I'm definitely not thinking of going short. It comes down. I'm thinking this orange down channel has very decisively tested the low now. It could reverse. I'm not too sure. Looks like it's first entry long, pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but seeing this candle in real time, I'm not ready to take a second entry long yet. Then I see it come down, break, flushes, and engulfs it completely. And by the time it closes, there's really high, not that great a proposition to try to take a trade when you could be buying into this high, which is up and out. So I'm thinking maybe there's a higher low. So it's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. It's a bad signal bar to go short. Good confirmation trigger bar, but it feels a little late to the game. Potential fail breakout, potential fail breakout, correspondingly symmetric. I'm looking for a lower high now. So I want the next candle to print, and then the next candle after this one, what we don't see yet, to create a lower high for me and a nice close at the bottom. Then I think there might be a short. So okay, comes down. I'm looking for the next candle to break above this guy, and it doesn't. So no lower high at all, pushes through. I mean, you could say maybe this is lower high, but it feels like it's in the middle of nowhere. Kind of just presses sideways, no clean second entries, pushes down, another potential fail breakout, reverses up, new low, first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here. I was conflicted because I saw, okay, it's a push up break, one attempt up. It could make a second attempt up. So even though it's a nice signal bar for potential first entry short, hidden second entry short engulfing, I wasn't really quite ready to take this trade. If you did take it, you'd be in the trade right now. And then this candle likely would have stopped you out unless you kept your stop way up here and then flushed down. Debatable whether you would have gotten the scalp or not. Or, excuse me, whether I would have gotten the scalp or not. Starts flushing down. Looks like it's moving down to this green down channel. No clean second entries. New low, first entry short. Kind of hits the localized low. Starts reversing back up. Keep in mind the timestamp. This is already very late in the day. The first entry short, technically you have a second entry short here. Looks pretty good, but I'm not really sure if it's going to come back down. Plus, considering the time of day, this is no real trade to be taken here. Reverses back up, gets really choppy sideways, and pushes into the close. Plus, I was just kind of, since I already had a one loser trade, seeing something this late in the day on a somewhat sketchy part of the day when I knew the last 10 minutes were going to be very volatile, I wasn't really that eager to try to recover any losses. So just have to wait for another day. So hopefully tomorrow will be better for me. I'll pull the trigger on this trade and this trade earlier. And if they don't work out, I'm talking about tomorrow. The trade I missed that I just got to be okay with it, letting it go and not try to pretty much invent, in this case, a lower high reason to take a trade because it just ended up poorly. So hopefully that was helpful.